Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucks. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How are we doing today?
Pretty good. I don't know why. I woke up today and I just felt like awake. And I never do that. I wake up and I'm like, man, it sucks. It's Monday. I got to get up and do a podcast. I woke up. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we'll have a good show.
Yeah, it's one of those second week in a row too, where you've got like the weeks kind of split up. So like if you work and you don't
Yeah.
get this time off day last Wednesday, off day this Wednesday. Yeah,
It's
I'll take
nice.
that.
Every day's a Thursday and a Friday, or a Monday and a
Yep.
Friday. I don't know how you look at it, but
Yeah, that's probably more like it. It's probably every day's a Monday and a Friday.
yeah. But that's good. I mean, that's good, right?
Yeah.
50% of your week is a Friday. So happy Monday, happy Friday Eve.
There you
Man, no, this is good. It was nice having the week. And like obviously too, I'm sure a lot of places are like this. Retail, not so much. But like this time of the year is really slow. Like last week was slow. This week's probably gonna be kind of slow. So yeah, enjoying it. I mean, it's really slow too if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. So good news for everyone there.
It's very slow right now. Andrew McCutchen news, I guess that was early last week. But we haven't since that news, there's been nothing. No rumblings, no. And it's wild that I feel like at least last offseason, there were people who the Pirates like were tied to. Like there were all these people were like, the Pirates are in the mix. Pirates are in the mix. There's
Right.
no one.
Mm-mm.
There's no one in the mix, right? Like every free agent that's being discussed, Pirates are not an option. Um, Yeah, it's a weird offseason in that regard, in that they've acquired Horwitz, they've acquired McCutchen, re-signed him. But like outside that, there's just no noise whatsoever.
I know. That stinks. It stinks for like us. We all know the Pirates are pretty tight-lipped, but like you're saying, there was also some rumors before in the past. Even if it happened after the fact, even if it was like, okay, once so and so signed, it was like, well, you heard the Pirates are in, or even you heard like again like the Pirates are actually one of the higher bidders. There's just been nothing, like nothing, which of course for one kind of concerns me to a degree because I'm getting nervous now. We're about to hit 2025, and like basically the only addition is Horwitz. That can't be it. Like that just simply cannot be it. There's got to be more. And of course, like yes, there's still plenty of offseason to go. And the MLB and off seasons have been notoriously getting later and later into the year. This one was pretty early and aggressive. So that was something that we kind of remain hopeful for. Like, okay, things are happening early. Like, maybe we'll have an idea of what this team's going to be and such. But like you're saying, I mean, the Horowitz trade happened and we discussed that. And like, there's positives and negatives with that. I think more positives than negatives, but like that can't be the main stage of the 2025 offseason. So far that seems to be it. And like you said, that there's no rumors. So like for us too, like there's not even so much that we can like discuss and say, hey, you know what we're hearing? What do you guys think? It's just radio silent. So what can we even talk about?
Yeah, there's just again not a whole lot going on. So, right now it's more just a matter of, hey, what do we need to be doing? What are we what if we were in charge, what would happen? Stuff like that.
Right.
That's kind of where we've been relegated to for a couple months now. We had the point on Friday, and you asked, one of the questions was, what's Ben's next move? And I think it's a little concerning that I think all four people had like a different answer for that question. So I
Right.
mean, it means that there's like a lot of stuff still that this team needs to do. So yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly. I'm not really sure what's next. I kind of Tyler's thought was, a lefty reliever. I think that's very, very high on the priority, and I think that's something that's you can easily find. The corner outfield situation is going to be a little more difficult. They still need to do something there, right? I mean, they like right
You would
now
imagine.
options are Billy Cook, Jack Swinski, Joshua Palacios. So like I don't think you can go into spring training with that as your option. So there still needs to be some things to happen. It's been pretty slow. It's just been a slow off season. Winter meetings happen. They made a big splash there. Well, quote unquote big splash there. But I mean they made one of the bigger trades of winter meetings.
They made you go down the slide. That's all that
They
mattered.
made me go down the slide. But yeah, since then, re-signing Andrew McCutchen being the only thing that's happened, that's nothing that wasn't expected already. So
Right.
yeah, it's time to do something.
Yeah, I'm ready. let's give me something to talk about, Ben Sherrington. Well, before we do go any further, of course, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So yeah, Jim. So I guess we'll have somewhat of a free-flowing show today, maybe a little fun right before New Year's Eve, because again, there's not a whole lot to really talk about. So let's kind of discuss and let's take a look back at 2024 a little bit here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
And chat, go ahead and chime in here too. Tell us your moments, but let's kind of talk and discuss maybe the top 10 moments, our favorite moments, or however we want to quantify it, but some of our moments of 2024 we want to look back on to. So let's start off, Jim. What do you think? What's one of your top moments of the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing some thinking on this, and I don't have a list written down or anything. I'm really just kind of shooting from the hip here. But I've got a few, but I kind of got a few things that I wanted to talk about. And I got to start with Paul Skenes, right? I mean, I think he's gonna take up a lot of this. He was one of the he was one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, and he was a Pirate, and he made 20 or so starts for the team. So, as awesome as the debut was and the hype behind it and the build up, I can't really say that was one of my favorite moments just because of the bullpen collapse right afterwards, the rain delay situation throughout it. It was kind of it was a weird day. It was not my favorite. It was a cool thing. It was cool to see him debut, but he didn't particularly pitch all that great. His stat line, it was probably his worst start of the season. And then the Pirates bullpen came in, and Kyle Nicholas walked 19 people in a row. So I think if I'm choosing a Paul Skenes moment, I'm going with the second start in Chicago, the one where before it, Hannah Mears asks him, "Hey, are you worried that they're going to be able to adjust to you?" And he was just good luck. That right there was just a cool setup for then what he did in that start, which was, I mean, he was basically unhittable. He was unhittable in that start. Just going out there and just absolutely shoving. I think his debut, he certainly kind of announced that hey, my stuff's really freaking good. I mean, he struck out 7 batters, I think, in the first 3 innings. But that second start, 6 innings, no hits, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, where he just dominated the Cubs. Yeah, I think that was my favorite. That was my favorite game of the year.
Okay. I mean, I like that. I guess I want to add here too. Like, I mean, the first start was still. I mean, he struck out the first 7 batters.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
that's
not saying the
still
first start was bad by any
yeah.
means, but like,
But it's funny because you're
yeah,
like
yeah,
that might have been his worst game, and I'm just thinking, Jesus, like that puts things in perspective too. Because
mhm.
damn, he was good. Damn, Paul Skenes is good. That might have been his worst game of the season. I'm like, he struck out the first 7 hitters. It was remarkable how good he looked and how easy he made Major League Baseball appear to be.
Yep.
And it was like, meh. Let's move on to the next start. But yeah, I guess again, like that just makes you really appreciate Paul Skenes. Man.
Yeah.
And I guess if we're going, I'll add, and we're not doing this in any order. You know, we're just going back. But you know, you bring up Paul Skenes, and I'm gonna go to his first start because, like, as like a core memory for me, like that was Paul Skenes' debut. The 3 of us actually went live beforehand. Now, Tyler and I did the post game show. That was just pure misery as well because of the delay, because of how long we had to wait. That was a long ass day. And man, oh man. But we had um
Dallas Braden.
oh god, yeah, we had Dallas. Sorry, I just like just my brain just shut off. We had Dallas Braden on beforehand. So that was cool, right? We saw Paul's first, outing live with Dallas Brady. We did again like the game day with it. So, but again, like it was just like I felt like that was an entire showcase of like the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates. There was a lot of hope for that game. Paul Skenes making his debut, a lot of hype around that game. And then like it just like the bullpen collapse, just the weirdest game you've ever seen. Like that just I felt like was such symbolism of what the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates were. Because honestly, like we came to this season with some expectations. I think we were kind of all over the place. You were a little higher, us kind of in the middle. Tyler was a little more poo-pooing on the season, right? But that kind of explained what the season was. There's a lot of variables, right? Because there's a lot of unknowns, and this could go so many directions. And the Pirates are pretty much in it for most of the year. Like so much that they air quotes bought at the deadline. And then just like this complete epic collapse that was just like the weirdest, wonkiest type of collapse that you've seen. And that just made the season escape them. Like that's what I felt like Paul Skenes' first start was. It was
Yeah.
foreshadowing what the year was going to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they won the game, right? Like they ended up coming back
They
and
ended up winning, so I guess that's
yeah, they
not
ended up
totally,
winning.
but still, like it was just
It was
the
it was a
weirdest
shit
game you
show.
saw.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
like from the point that Paul Skenes left the game, it was a disaster. Like the whole thing. Which
yep,
again was like a microcosm of the season. It was like, all right, Paul Skenes good, everything else bad.
right, yeah, yeah. Especially the bullpen. Absolutely
Yeah.
the bullpen. So yeah, so again, like I feel like Paul Skenes' first start was certainly a moment, for me and such because again, Dallas being on is pretty cool. And then like I said, we were doing the game day live, then we had the rain delay. No one knew it was coming back. It just popped on. We finished it. Like that was like an 8-hour day, I felt like that we were streaming for. But
Yeah, we
anywho,
did a lot that day. And like I said, the rain delay just made things longer. Um But yeah, definitely a memorable, enjoyable day, even with all the stuff that happened after.
right.
Yeah. Um, God, after that, Nolan brings up, obviously, I think the next thing you can talk about, which is Andrew McCutchen's 300th homer. Um, I was actually, I remember I was on vacation when this happened, and I was in a spot of the country where there was like no service. Like it was super duper spotty. And like it was on April 14th, which was good 2.5 weeks into the year. He only needed one home run to get 300. He came into the season with 299.
Yeah.
And it took him a while to get it, but he got it against the Phillies, which was cool, a team that, probably, like, the one other team in baseball that, like, really loves him, you know? So
Mhm.
that was neat
Uncle
to have
Larry.
him do
That's
it
where he started.
against, Philadelphia. It would've been cool to do it at home, but, if you're not gonna do it at home, I think Philly was probably the next best spot to do it in. So 300th homer, it's just, there's not too many. I mean, the Pirates have been around for 140 some odd years, and they've had some good hitters. They had some really good hitters. Um, but Andrew McCutchen's about to be the th like, he's about to pass Roberto Clemente for most home runs all time by a Pirate. He doesn't have too far to go to do that this season, so it just shows you, like, the longevity of Andrew McCutchen, and he was one of the best players in baseball for a 4-year period, and then, kinda tapered off a little bit, but, I mean, he debuted in what, 2009? 2009, 2008, was something like that. I think it was 2009. But he's been doing it a long time, and
Yeah,
not a
no.
lot of players do that. I don't think there's anyone that I can think of that's still around from his draft class. Verlander was the year before, but, like, that's like, there's not too many other people around. Jason Hayward, I think, being maybe the other one. I think Hayward was in that draft. So, like, there's only a couple of guys from his class that are still trucking, and he's still doing it at a competitive level. So, yeah, having that 300th homer was cool because hurting his Achilles at 299 in 2023 with, 4 weeks ago, that was brutal. Like, you would have loved to
Yeah,
have just seen him get it
yeah.
out of the way, get it done right then and there. But having 299 and then coming back and then getting it out of the way, that was, yeah, good stuff.
For sure. Andrew McCutchen, living legend, Pittsburgh Pirates. And like you said, it's one of those things, like you talk about longevity, like longevity for him. It was one of those things where his fall off was pretty hard. And I don't know if a lot of us thought he was going to be still this productive of a player, this late into his career. And he is. And he found like this rebound. So it's nice that he as a player, you know, gets to be in the debate of is he a Hall of Famer, right? Because we weren't so sure if that was going to happen. His peak was certainly really, really good, but it was kind of shorter than you thought it would be. So it's nice that he has been able to stay productive. And he's also doing it again, like for Pittsburgh Pirates. Talk about longevity. It's also something that's cool that he was able to have the longevity as a Pittsburgh Pirate, him coming back and being to tally these, because that's something that the Pirates don't typically see. That's what we talk about with the Dave Parker debate. It's just like Paul Skenes, if he's a Hall of Famer, which like he has every ability to be, he's only had part of a 1 year, in Major League Baseball as with a Pittsburgh Pirate. And like we can tell you right now, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame without a Pirates hat on. Like that's just the way it is. And like if Andrew McCutchen does go into the Hall of Fame, it's going to be with a Pittsburgh Pirate hat. So the fact that he's been able to produce 300 plus home runs in a Pittsburgh Pirate uniform is kind of special. Something we're just probably not going to see like ever again. So we talk about the Hall of Fame debate. Like Dave Parker is probably the last potential Pittsburgh Pirate that you'll see into the Hall of Fame. Andrew McCutchen will be the next debatable one. So yeah, the fact that Kutcher's able to get 300 in a Pirates uniform, like cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess my next moment here, I'm gonna go with pitching as well. I mean, everyone knows the Hundo boys, right? I mean, Jared Jones was the first to start off like, oh boy, what's going on in Pittsburgh with his pitching? Because he knew Paul Skenes was coming. And then of course Paul Skenes came and it was like, man, it's exciting stuff. But Jared Jones was the one that really kicked it off for the Pittsburgh Pirates. It had national media focused and looking because he was the first person to be of the hey, he's the first since, or like here's the list of pitchers that have only done what Jared Jones has done. So like the beginning of his year was very, very special, but I felt like it was just really capped off. Like, I mean, the Bryce Terang moment when he threw that pitch and made him just completely fall. That's got to be one of the top moments in 2024. because Jared Jones shows that he has some pretty special stuff, and he made Trang look absolutely silly. I mean, we talk about how Paul Skenes makes Major League Baseball look like it's AAA. And I'm not saying that Jared Jones did that, but he has some really nasty stuff. And that moment, that's in the cover of the YouTube graphic here as well. Bryce Terang just looking silly on his back. All his appendages flailing up in the air. I mean, just like what a moment. And Jared Jones just walking off confident shit. I think he actually did even chuckle. I can't remember. I should go back to the clip. But I feel like he laughed. If not, I know he said he laughed like in the dugout or something, or internally.
Yeah, I think that pitch showed up on like Pitching Ninjas. Like
yes,
I think there was like one of the like nastiest pitch of the year type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't see major leaguers do that very often in the batter's box. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
And there was like I think there was the one clip too Pitching Ninja had where like his like soul leaves his body. He did that with like he's like sitting on the ground and you see like a ghost like come up.
He has ascended into heaven.
Yeah, like he just like he killed him.
Yeah, like just what a moment. And like you mentioned with Pitching Ninja, I mean, he was all over that. So again, it was nice seeing Pittsburgh get some like national love and for really, really good, cool moments.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, going back to like the Hundo Boys stuff, like they were on Pat McAfee's show. They were doing the media rounds, the two of them, in May. And if we're talking like moments, going back to Jared Jones again, like his debut was really freaking good too. He struck out 10 batters in his major league debut. He ended up giving up 3 runs, but like he announced pretty early on, like I've got crazy good stuff, guys. And like you look at what he did in April, and then kind of like through the beginning of May. Before Paul Skenes arrived, every Jared Jones start, there was this crazy stat where it was Jared Jones, the first starting pitcher since, some crazy name pitcher in 1908 or whatever to
Right.
do what he's been doing. Where it's like less runs, strikeouts per inning. Like he was doing stuff that no rookie does when he comes onto the scene. So yeah, it was yeah, Jared Jones.
Stuff like that, or it's like
Just
the
crazy
pitchers
stuff. that
have done this, what Jared Jones done is like Justin Verlander, Masaharu Tanaka, and then like I don't know, Pedro or something. Like it would just be like the craziest pitchers you've seen. And it's like and Jared Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty
Jacob
pretty
DeGrom
amazing
was
start.
actually in there a lot. Yeah.
Pretty amazing start to his career there. I guess I'll start with this was a game that I was at, and so I'm going to put this on my list just because I remember it being just a crazy, fun, back and forth game. The crowd was electric during it. It was Yinzer Palooza. Picklesburg was going on. It was right after the All-Star break, so the Pirates were still in it. But it was the first game after the All-Star break against the Philadelphia Phillies, and just a wild back and forth game. Michael Perez started for the Pirates and gave up 3 runs in the first inning, so you're immediately down 3-0. But then you tie it up in the bottom half of the first. You score 3 runs, so 3-3 after 1. Okay, new ball game. Phillies score again in the third. Pirates tie it up in the bottom half. Then the Phillies go up 7-4 in the fifth. Pirates chip away, score 2 runs in the seventh, and then Nick Gonzalez walks it off in the bottom of the ninth. That was, to me, just like, first off, the crowd was insane. Like I said, sold out. You had a bunch of Phillies fans there, but I mean, 39,530 people at PNC Park. It was packed, like packed. I remember I was in the outfield, standing room only, and I was with my buddy who's a Phillies fan, and just the whole game he's just yapping, 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 yapping.
Yes.
And as soon as we walked it off, it was just like, and he was yapping, with everybody. So all the Pirates fans around him, they were ready to start yapping back. And Nick Gonzalez walks it off, and everybody just starts giving him shit. We're all high fiving, we're hugging, and he's just slunked over, sad. That was a really, really fun game. Just the back and forth aspect of it, because there were at least 2 times where you were like, man, this thing's over. At the end of the first inning, you're like, 3-0. Martin Perez sucks. This thing's over. And then to be able to come back, as many times as they did and win it on a walk-off Nick Gonzalez single in the 9th, that was personally, like, from games that I went to this year, favorite moment. Great game.
Nice. Yeah. I'm
Nolan knows
familiar
what
with
up.
your friend.
He says he was at that
So-
game too. Went to Picklesburg. Yeah, had like a pickle flavored beer before going into the ballpark. Yeah, it was a good Yinzer day.
Very nice. Very nice. I have to throw in this moment as well because I feel like if you're talking about 2024, for better or worse, like Aroldis Chapman gave us plenty of moments from the very beginning of spring training. You're talking about him all the way to the end.
He gave us the moments, yeah.
Now, I'm not going to talk about that moment, although that might actually top it for real. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting year for Aroldis Chapman all around because he did a lot of Aroldis Chapman things, very up and down, like, typical Aroldis Chapman season, end of the year, like the numbers look good and stuff, but not as good as some of the years before, but still, but like he had the stretches where it's like, oh my God, he looks horrible. What's going on here? And then looks at the stretches is like, wow, it's amazing. But regardless, end of the day, Aroldis Chapman's not like 25 years old anymore. Aroldis Chapman's a bit longer in the tooth, right? A little up in age. There were moments where you saw his fastball topping at like 92, 93, and that concerns you. Again, Aroldis Chapman, the roller coaster ride we had. But then there was the moment, and this kind of, again, this stands out, when Aroldis Chapman was facing Manny Machado. And again, we're talking about Jared Jones and like that pitch, right? And how it was everywhere. When Aroldis Chapman fired that 105 mile per hour and Manny Machado, who just froze and just looked at and struck him out and just looked at Aroldis, and Aroldis gave that stare down and just kind of slipped there on the mound, just laughing and chuckling away. Wow. Like, just wow. A human being threw 105 miles an hour at his age, and just wow.
Yeah, with Chapman this year, it was it was one of those things where, like, when he was on, he was as unhittable as I've ever seen any pitcher. Like, when he had his stuff, he was pumping 104, devastating slider, mixing in the changeup. Like, when he had his A game, he was as good as he's ever been, which is impressive because, like you mentioned, like, he's not a young guy anymore. But yeah, yeah, he did some he did some pretty incredible things in small spurts this year, and yeah, the big strikeouts and the stare downs, that was always entertaining.
Yeah. No, for sure. But then, like I said, that one right there just absolutely stands out. And I feel like you can't talk about the 24 season without talking about that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Among other Chapman moments that will stay quiet on.
Speaking of like a Chapman adjacent moment, there was when the Pirates were kind of reeling in late July, like you could kind of start like they just had the Houston series where they or maybe it was it was the Houston series and then Arizona, I think. But you could like they were blowing games late. They were blowing games late. Um, there was that game in Arizona where like they ran out of players and Jared Triolo had to play right field.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was a tie game in the ninth, bottom of the ninth. There was a runner on base. There was like this short bloop into right field. And Jared Triolo, who'd never played right field, I think, in his life, at least not in the majors or maybe pro ball, makes just an absolutely insane catch. Like the catch of the year, probably. To force extra innings in that game, and the Pirates ended up winning, which was a big win for them at the time because like, they were trying to just stay in that wild card race, and Arizona was one of the teams they were competing with directly. You lose that game, and you're out of it a lot quicker than they ended up being out of it. But that catch, I think it was July 28th. If I'm looking at the box score correct, July 28th. They win 6-5 against the Diamondbacks. The extra innings were crazy. It was 2-2 after 9. That catch moved the game into the 10th. The Pirates scored 4 runs in the 10th. They gave up 3 in the bottom half, so they almost ended up blowing it. But they ended up winning that game, and that took them to 53-52 on the year, which was I think 1.5 games behind the Diamondbacks at that point. Yeah, that was crazy because at one point in that game, the Diamondbacks had a 91% win probability, and you lose that, and all of a sudden, you're swept by the Diamondbacks in late July. But that catch by Jared Triolo, the fact that like he looked like he came out of nowhere and made just an incredible catch. Yeah, I'm going with that moment because that was a pretty important part of the season. Triolo came up big, and they ended up winning the game because of it.
Yeah. And that might have helped them win a Gold Glove for utility as well because that one play came to
That's
one
true.
defensive run in the outfield.
Yeah, he ended up having 1 defensive run saved in right field. I think he had an out
Yeah.
above average. Like it definitely helped his numbers. It was a very
Right.
small sample size, but like he played right field really effectively.
Just goes to show like the talent too defensively he has. Again, like
Mhm.
never playing there. You hope maybe that's something he can do. Maybe he can learn outfield, and he really didn't last year. He wasn't using that mold that we thought maybe he might, be using, except for that one time. Like, hey, we need you, buddy. And he's like, all right, let me just make like the defensive play of the year.
Yeah, like I mean that was
Oh
the play of the year, I think, in my opinion. Like I don't think there's a
yeah.
better defensive play than that.
Cool. Well, my next moment here, this is a story I felt like for most of the year as well. And if you say the word Xander, I think everyone knows where I'm going with this, just by the name Xander, right? I mean, yeah, Xander, buddy. Big moment because Rowdy Tellez was awful. Just a complete awful baseball player. What is
Terrible.
this guy still doing here? And then somehow or another, this awful baseball player has this super fan who goes around watching him. Milwaukee, been in Toronto, right? Now Rowdy Tellez is in Pittsburgh. So we have this super fan coming to Pittsburgh. And he does. He comes out and he celebrates his 7th birthday watching Rowdy Tellez play the Cincinnati Reds because when I was 7, I just couldn't wait to watch a player of Rowdy Tellez's caliber play for the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? So this kid comes out here for his 7th birthday, and what happens? Rowdy hits a home run for Xander on his birthday. And again, this is a guy who came here because of his power. The bat just looked terrible. The power really wasn't even there for the most part. But Xander comes around and Rowdy hits a home run for him. Like just a really cool moment, but also too, it was just like Xander was kind of like, was Xander the catalyst to Rowdy Tellez as well? Like he's came a few times. It's like, we need Xander here because Rowdy's like turning into a good baseball player all of a sudden. I mean, Rowdy had an incredible summer. As much as
He
he
really
was
did. Yeah.
awful in the early parts of the year, right? April and May, June, July, and August. This is one of the better hitters in baseball, and that's what we were talking about. You're talking about like the top so many hitters, and it was Juan Soto and Brian Reynolds, right? Brian Reynolds is up there, and like Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah, like legit. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So like just a cool moment because it's like, what is going on that Rowdy Tellez of all people have like a super fan? Like you didn't see these moments of like, so and so at the ballpark, they're traveling around to see Andrew McCutchen, right? Or Brian Reynolds or Paul Skenes. No, it was Rowdy Tellez. And he hits a home run for him and just like had an incredible summer. Felt like dedicated to Xander. But yeah, that was just a cool moment. It makes you
Yeah,
appreciate
in
baseball as
for
well.
how bad he was, like June and July, Rowdy had a 147 weighted runs created plus. Like he bounced back, and we were on him. We were on him hard. We were. I don't know if there's anybody more outspoken than us in terms of like, you've got to get this guy out
Yeah.
of here. Like he cannot be on your team anymore. And then all of a sudden something clicked for him, and he put together a nice summer. Kind of tapered off there towards the end of the year, and the thing about baseball is it's a long season and they all count. He played 132 games. He still was 10% below average. So I mean, it was still very much a bad season for Rowdy Tellez. But yeah, he put together a stretch of games there where he certainly helped. But he also put together a pretty good stretch of games where he hurt the team quite a bit. But yeah, that was wild, that turnaround, because yeah, it was like flicking a switch. Like he just turned things on for a while, and like you mentioned, he was one of the best hitters in baseball for a solid at least 2-month stretch.
Mm-hmm. To be factually correct, he
Yeah.
was a big part of why the team was like in a playoff hunt still during the summer. Again, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like you look month over month, March and April, 55 weighted runs created plus. May was a negative 15. It was a negative 15. So again, like how hard, I mean, rightfully so, we were very hard on Rowdy Tellez because he was bad. And then he just got even worse. And then he went from a negative 15 to June being a 155. What are you talking about here? So yeah, again, like in the summer, Brian Reynolds and Rowdy Tellez kind of carried this offense.
Yeah.
Not kind of, they did. Absolutely did.
Yeah, he turned it on, and you mentioned he was one of the reasons why they were in a race that late. And but again, you got to kind of look at the flip side and say he was one of the reasons why they didn't have more wins at that point in time going into it. So it was definitely a tale of two seasons for Rowdy.
Still totaled a negative 0.64 it was.
Yeah, it was at the end of the day, it was still pretty bad, but
right.
Yeah, he had very good stretches, a very good stretch. That's really kind of all I had in terms of like specific moments for the year. Like I talked about Jared Jones's debut. Like I think that was really special. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything else kind of on top of that.
I guess just one more thing: the 7 home run game against the Mets, July 5th.
It's a lot of homers.
The one thing this team just didn't have, of course, we're coming off of talking about Rowdy Tellez, but again, like we're talking about Rowdy Tellez and Brian Reynolds carrying the offense because it was like just 2 players that are hitting. Like this offense was just abysmal. They didn't hit any power. When they won, it was because Paul Skenes on the mound, like they're winning like 3-2. The bullpen is able to keep it together, and they're playing the Mets, and all of a sudden they hit 7 home runs. Like what? Like, a week before the All-Star break, and they hit 7 home runs. Rowdy Tellez hits 2 that game. Jack Sawinski gets a home run that game. Brian Reynolds hits 2 that game. Grandal hit a home run. Michael A. Taylor hit a home run. Yeah, I mean the Pirates had they won 14 to 2 that game against the Mets, and Luis Severino was pitching as well. The big acquisition for the A's this offseason. So yeah, just again, like one of those moments, one of those games where it's like, holy hell! I mean, Brian Reynolds went 4 for 5, 2 home runs, six RBI. Rowdy Tellez 2 for 4 with 2 RBI or 2 home runs, 5 RBI. Yeah, just Michael A. Taylor a 4 for 4 game. Just crazy.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly too, that was kind of when Yasmani Grandal kind of started
Yes.
his uptick, because he was in the same boat as Rowdy, where we were, May and June, we were on that too. Like Yasmani Grandal, like this guy's got to go. Like
Yep.
he's worse than Austin Hedges, at that point. It was like, what is this guy, like, what value is this guy adding to the team? He looked terrible defensively. He was making bad plays defensively seemingly every series. He wasn't hitting the ball. And then July came, and yeah, the bat started heating up. I feel like defensively he still never really like got locked in. He was good at pitch framing, but that was like the one thing that he measured well in. But July, like same thing as Rowdy here. First 2 months for Grandal, because he missed April. May 42 weighted runs created plus. June 14 weighted runs created plus. And then July 107, August 168, September 185. Like he finished strong. The walk rate was really high, like what you're used to, like prime Yasmani Grand, like what you were used to out of him, like when he was in his prime. The power came back. Yeah, it was. I mean, he revitalized his career, because I mean, I think you could have. I mean, beginning of July, you're looking at Yasmani Grandal, and you're saying like, this is your last shot in Major League Baseball. Like, you're not getting another contract after this. And now he's going to get a major league deal with somebody for probably over $5 million, because of the way he turned his season around last year. And so that was like right around the time when he did that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Definitely looked more vintage Grandal the second half of the year. Which again, you talk about first and second half. First half, 34 weighted run created plus. Second half, 172. I mean, the guy batted 302, 429, slugged 558 the second half of the season. So, and we're also seeing like just stupid lackadaisical, just again, like defensively. Yasmani's been known for his defense, and like just stuff he was doing. Like, what's going on back there? Like, get this guy off the field. He's not even costing games with his bat, but just like with his mental state, with his actual defense, it was just weird the first half. But yeah. So again, that game, maybe give us some false hope, but it was fun.
Yeah,
so
I mean, with a lineup that was so just like devoid of hitting, the catching position ended up being a bright spot, really. So yeah, I mean, they still weren't good because of the overall numbers, but like that, if you look at position by position, like weighted runs created plus by position last year, I think the catcher position was either the best or the second best position when it came to Pirates hitters. I think it was second.
It probably felt like it have to be second
behind DH. Like I think it went DH number 1, catcher number 2.
Oh, okay.
Like I think.
Yeah. Well, again, Joey Bart and Yasmani Grandal. As abysmal you thought the catcher position was going to be, it actually didn't turn out to be that way.
No.
Because of Grandal, like of all people, and then the acquisition of Joey Bart, at being DFA and having his turn around. So yeah, like the catcher position actually was fine last year.
Catcher position was fine. It was like the one position where like you looked at it and they definitely got a passing grade. Like
okay. Cool. Well, before we go, again, it's New Year's. I thought we'd have a little fun here. Who do you think would throw what Pittsburgh Pirate do you think, or who would you want to attend, right? Whose New Year's party would you want to attend? But who do you think would throw like the best New Year's Eve party on this team? And I guess let me just start it off by saying too, because like this is tough because this Pittsburgh Pirates team seems to be kind of void of personality. Like that's something we've talked about time and time again, right? Like Brian Reynolds,
Yeah.
just quiet. Brian Hayes, just quiet. Andrew McCutchen, like, yeah, there's Uncle Larry, but that's like an alter ego of his. Like Andrew McCutchen, normally, like he a cool ass dude, but just kind of quiet.
So thinking about this, I was like, okay, who do you think, like, who would be there's a few ways to go about this, right? Like if you're talking about like who's going to throw a party, I think there's probably a few options you could go with. But when I think of a New Year's party, right? You kind of think of it, it's a little more classy, right? Like out of
Mhm.
all of the parties you can throw, the New Year's party, one of the more classy ones throughout the year, right? It's not like a 4th of July party where you're just going to a pool or something like that and you're just getting you're crushing Bud Lights all day, right? And eating hot dogs. Like that's not what a New Year's party is. Um, and so like Nolan says here, Bednar pounding icy lights, right? Like that would be something where, yeah, I could see Bednar throwing a fun party where he's got, unlimited icy lights in his backyard. But like that's not what I think of when I think of like New Year's party. I'm thinking classy. And I think if I'm going like who on this team would throw like the most badass, like super classy party, it's Andrew McCutchen. Like it's got to be Kutch. Like he's a classy dude. He's got more money than everybody else, so he could throw like he could throw a really awesome party. I feel like you
There's
just
some poor people around.
yeah. So like I'm going like if I'm attending someone's New Year's Eve party, I'm thinking more classy. I'm thinking it's got to be Kutch. Kutch throws the best New Year's party on this team, in my opinion.
I think that's the easy answer, realistically.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting an invitation from 40 players, right? Every person on the 40-man roster, and you see the one from Andrew McCutchen, I think I'm going to that one because
Kutch's
it's Kutch. Like,
Kutch's invitation too. It's probably like in calligraphy. It's got like it's like gold letter. Like, those invitations would be nice too.
yeah, no, that very, very good point there. Because again, like it's Kutch. Like, oh, I'm going to Kutch's house. I don't know. Some of these guys just have like little apartments. They're just like, whatever. We're here. We don't have all. Again, like it's Major League Baseball. Prospectively talking, they got more money than us, even the poorest of the MLB players, right? But again, a lot of them are pre-arb, they're rookie deals. It's just I got some money, but I don't have Kutch money, right? You show up to Kutch's house, it's probably like, oh, this is what it's like, right? And like you're talking about, Kutch is just super classy, but also Kutch is just a cool ass dude, right? Just cool, just that's the guy. So I get that. I'm gonna go a different little route here. And this one counts because he is on the 40 man and he has played, but you talk about classy and just like that route, and that's very true. Like when you think of New Year's Eve, you do think that route, right? But also, I guess this isn't really equate. Like David Bednar, also a good one because I agree. I think David Bednar would connect more with the people on the point where everyone's like, "Hey, there's people outside. Let's go in." Like I feel like
Right.
David Bednar's just like a chill, right? This icy light. Let's watch football, like the true Yinzer almost New Year's Eve, right? But I'm going a little different here because I feel like if I'm going to go to a party, it's New Year's Eve, and I want to be entertained and have a good time and just have tons of laughs, right? But y'all could definitely have it a Kutch. Give me Piguero. Where's Piguero's invitation? Because I feel like he could throw a hell of a party. And I feel like it'll be fun. And now, is he even able to drink yet? I think he is, but
Yeah, he's over 21 now.
this might be his first New Year's Eve party he's thrown legally. But like I feel like Piguero is gonna be that dude that's like New Year's Day, you're waking up, you're like, holy hell, what happened last night? So
I could see that.
again, and again, I feel like that speaks to like the team that you have to go to like Piguero. It's like that's the fun dude. Palacios actually, Palacios
Palacios would throw a fun party.
I feel like that's going to be. Do I want to go to Palacios or Peguero? And
Yeah,
Palacios has some experience too. Maybe I should change my answer to Palacios.
I think
But
if I was going
Peguero-
to go the fun route, I'd probably go like Bednar or Palacios would be my two. But yeah, I don't think I'd be able to pass up like just the classiness of an Andrew McCutchen New Year's party.
Yeah, very much so. Well, cool. So I think that wraps up our last Starbucks of the year.
I think it does.
So we're gonna head into
nothing else.
2025. Just a few short days.
You got any New Year's resolutions?
Any New Year's resolutions? Keep talking shit to Brian Householder. How about that? Talk more shit on him because I'm so over him.
That is funny.
yelling
That
at
there's
fans.
there's someone on Twitter who thinks that our goal is to depress Pirates fans so much that
Yeah.
they don't go to baseball games. It's funny because yeah, we're Pirates fans. We want the team to win. If you watched us, you know how depressing we get when we don't win, and it's fun when we win. It's a lot more fun when we win. So that's just funny.
Yeah.
It's funny to me.
No, I mean, of course, that's just I'm talking in jest, but I just hate on both sides. Anyone blaming fans for anything. You guys want to go to game. You guys don't want to go to game. Like you're a fan. You have your own money that's expendable to however means you want to use it. Use as you wish. Like I hate people that yell at fans to do one thing. How dare you go to games? You have to boycott them. That's the only way to get shut the hell up. Do what you want to do. Be happy in life. Do what you want to do, whether it's going to games or not going to games. Anyone who yells at fans, I just hate, and I want to punch them on the face. But the real thing is getting back in shape, like everybody else. This hasn't been a good ending to 2024, I'll say. So I need to get back into shape.
I don't really have one yet. I think maybe read a little bit more. I know this was one of mine last year, and I got through some books this year, but probably not as many as I wanted to. But yeah, read like a book a month. I feel like I can do that, and I haven't been. I read probably 4 books last year, and it's like you shouldn't take you 3 months to get through a book. So yeah, I'm gonna try reading more, Donardo. So that way I can call you out on your grammar more than I do now.
That's fine. I'm gonna win a national championship in NCAA. That's another goal of mine.
There you go.
There it is. Let's get out of here. So for everyone watching, we of course, as always, appreciate you. Go ahead and like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. We'll be back in 2025 to see you again. NS9 Live this Thursday, because Wednesday, of course, is New Year's Eve. So we'll be back this Thursday with NS9 Live. We will see you guys then. Jim.
See you next year, guys. All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the